Hey, today I'm gonna play a slightly modified version of Blood and Horse Droppings. Link for Historian in Harness, his homepage, will be in the description. The rule set is something that I'm going to use for a large multiplayer multiplayer game that I'm setting up in August. So basically what I'm trying to do right now is to learn the rules myself so that I understand what's going on when I need to GM it. I have slightly modified the rules because there was a little bit, one element of the close combat system that I didn't really enjoy. So I've changed that a bit to make it what I feel like is more balanced. The rules, in my estimation, heavily favor the attacker. And I wanted something where, both players had a sort of a chance to do something. The rules are really cool though, because they set up a game that is very realistic in that it is very like two battles meet each other, boom, and then they fight it out, and then one of them breaks, and that will be the end of that engagement, which is how most medieval combat was actually fought. So I like the game for its realism, and at the same time, it still allows for quite a bit of player agency. The commanders of each of these battles, these wards, their choices really do matter. So that is why I like this game, and that is why I'm going to run that as my system for this refight of Mortimer's Cross 1461. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my computer around, and I will do a refight of, I'll do a short battle between two battle lines called wards in the game. So here we go. Sorry, you can't see anything yet. Don't worry, you'll get there. So here we have my game board all set up. I've got this castle in the background. It's not actually going to do much in the game right now, but at some point it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this medieval stuff. Is in order to get my beautifully painted castle on the game board. So yeah. Right, let's hope that settles it. Right. So basically you can see what in the game term would be two wards here. They're meeting up on this green outside of the castle. The castle is in the background. There's other armies, or the parts of the armies fighting it around the castle here. But here we've got a ward consisting of three companies. A company is this group of fighters here. In this system, Blood and Horse Droppings, each company consists of two parts. There's a group of archers, and there's a group of men-at-arms, basically, right? So here we've got my retinue of men-at-arms, heavily armored knights in this case. These are going to be Edward, the Earl of March, future King of England, his retinue, his personal guards with his personal longbowmen. Right. So each of these is called a company. Each company has a commander. In this case, it'll be my little model of a mounted English king that will do the stand-in of Edward. The commanders themselves don't actually matter in the game unless they're a model to sort of say the commander is here. Most of the time, such a ward such as this will be under the command of one nobleman who will do all the actual dice rolls. The others will be no-name captains who will step in case the nobleman falls and, you know, then do their bit, or in case they get separated from the group, because a ward is sort of like one big unit. So each of my players will be playing one of these wards. On the other side, we have a Lancastrian ward consisting of mostly Tudor Welsh levies. So 1 to 3 companies of levies and a retinue, so a bit of a better unit here at the end. So we've got 3 companies, 2 companies of retinue, 1 of levy here, and then we've got 3 companies of levies, Welsh levies, and 1 retinue. So the companies are not equal, as you know you would expect from a medieval battle. They should not be equal. They would not be equal most of the time. So here we go. Now in blood and horse droppings, the commanders have different quality, and that means that they can they get different dice in order to get their wards moving. So in this case, I have set the quality of the Lancastrian commander, this dude. I've set that at a D8, so he'll get a D8. Whereas I've set Edward, he is a lot better. He gets a D10. Now, normally the commanders just needs to roll a 4+ in order to do something. So let's start the game. Turn 1 of this engagement. You can see that, turn 1. We roll, both commanders roll off to see who goes first. And the Lancastrian gets an 8, Edward gets a 6. So Lancaster goes first. He then rolls his command dice in order to get his ward going. He rolls a 4, which is good. That means he gets 3 actions. Each action could be a shoot, or it could be a fight order. In this case, I think what he's going to do is he'll advance a bit and then see if he's within range for all of his longbows to rain down fire on the Yorksists, right? So because he made his order test, he succeeded. He gets 3 actions. So 1, he moves up 3 inches. Infantry can move 3 inches on an action. So potentially I could, move 9 inches up. But I don't want to go that far. I just want to move a little bit up and then spend a couple of rounds shooting. Now for the next action, I'm going to try and see if I'm within range, shooting, and I am. I get 24 inches of range. So normally you take the central to the center. So center of the unit to the center of the unit. And yes, I'm at 23 inches. So that's good. Now, the owning player decides who shoots first, but the companies will shoot individually. So I'll start with this company out on the flank. We have to shoot at somebody who is straight in front of us. So it will have to be Edward's company right over there. That this company of Welsh archers and spearmen will shoot at. They get 2 shots, this unit. And what they're looking for here are 2s, because 2s will cause casualties on infantry. Or they're looking for a 4 is a bonus, but since we're at long range, bonuses will not count. So depending on the range, a 4 might actually have caused casualties. So if we were within short range or point blank range, we would, which is 4 inches, we would actually have caused a casualty there. As is, this rain of fire did nothing. Next unit, I think we'll also shoot at Edward's company. We just need to check that we're within range. Still, we're at 22 inches, so they're still good. They also roll 2 dice. They get a 1 and a 6. The 1 would have caused casualties if Edward had a mounted company. He does not. But the 6 gives a black flag. Now, I need a lot of counters for these, but as is, I made, a bunch of pavises, and they will do my standard. Black flag is disorder markers, basically. They mean that the unit down there is taking too much fire, incoming fire, and they the discipline of the unit starts to collapse a little bit. Perfect. Next unit of Welshmen will fire at the white company on the flank here. Ooh, 2 6s, double black flag. Now, if a unit takes 3 black flags, that unit, the discipline goes and the unit runs away. So this is quite bad for the white company on the flank, because we've got another unit here to shoot. Now, they are shooting over some cover, so they actually get 1 dice less. And they roll a 1, which does not cause a casualty on infantry. So that was the fire. But they still have 1 action left to go. So, I think I might just shoot again. If you take 2 shot actions in the same round, though, you're going to have to take a test. This is called an arrow storm, because the archers are using so many arrows that they might run out. So I'll take a test, and since it's turn 1, I just need to not roll 1. And I roll a 7. So they're good for the whole war. Now, again, first unit of Welshmen will shoot. They roll 2 4s, bonuses don't apply. Again, we have this unit here, will also fire at its company. That's a 6, that's another black flag, and there's also a 2, which is a casualty for Edward's dudes. I'll flip one of the models here as a counter for casualties. Edward's company is slightly in trouble here. The Lancastrians are shooting well. Now this company will want to break the white company, so we shoot again. That is a 1, which causes casualty to cavalry, and a 5, which is Wheel of Fate. Fate is interesting though, because in this rule set, when you roll a 5, you get a fate coin. Fate coins are like a currency. You can use those to get a plus or a minus for one of your dice rolls. So this captain gains fate coin. And then the final unit over here, because they were shooting through a bit of terrain, they only shoot 1 dice. They get a 2. That is a casualty marker. Now, looking at Edward's dudes here, his retinue here actually have heavy armor, but that only counts if the archers are on the front. So right now, 2 casualties and a lot of black flags for this ward here, Edward's ward. So that was the Lancastrian turn. That was quite a good turn. They got a lot of work done, didn't they? Now it's down to the Yorkist. Edward, he has a D10, but his units have on average got 1 black flag at least, right? So he gets -1 to his roll. He rolls a 4, that is not enough. So instead of the 3 actions that the Lancastrian should have, he gets 1 action. And for that, I think he'll want to rally some of those black flags. He rolls a 5 and removes 1 of the black flags he'll take from his own unit, because, he's a bastard like that. So that was turn 1. The Yorkists got a lot of arrows in their face, and they suffered heavily for it. We go to turn number 2. Again, we roll off. on average, the Yorkses have 1 black flag in each of their companies in the ward. And I also roll a 1. So he has -1, he goes to 0. The Lancastrians rolls a 5, he makes it. So the Lancastrians are ready to go again. First turn. The Lancastrians, the commander rolls his dice here. He rolls an 8, making it. He just needed a 4. So I think it's time to push a little bit further up, while the Yorksists are just, sitting there doing nothing. So the Lancastrians will make 2 moves. I'll move forward with the whole ward. Moving up, whole ward. Right. And from that position, they'll shoot again. So the Welshman on the flank shooting into Edward's company, getting 2 2s. That is casualties. Again, ouch. A unit can withstand 5 casualties before they break. So right now, Edward has suffered 3 casualties. The next unit of Welshmen also target Edward's company. Another casualty. And another 5. The 5 is a wheel of fate, so this captain also takes a full coin. And Edward suffers yet more casualties. 4 casualties. He is not doing well. The arrows rain down on Edward. Then we have this unit of Welshmen shooting at the White Company. 2 3s, that is a whole lot of nothing. Had they been cannons, they would have suffered 2 casualties. And then the final unit of Retinue rolls a 4. That is a bonus, but we're still not at the right range, so nothing happens there. Right. Then it's the Yorksist, turn 2. On average, there's still 1 black flag on each of the companies, so he gets a minus. That was cooking. Edward rolls a 1. The Yorksist dice are not with them right now. That means he only gets 1 action this round. It will again be to rally, and he makes it on an 8. So he removes 1 black flag. Oh, sorry. No, that's not right, is it? He can remove 1 black flag per success. So that is, he has -1. So he needs, that will remove 3 black flags. He actually rallies all his black flags. Nice. There we go. Right. Going into turn 3. Now, the Yorksists really want to have some initiative soon, right? Because they are being pummeled here. Oh, and the Yorksists get it. So that is a 4 and an 8. The Lancastrians gets 4. The Yorksists gets an 8. So, finally time for the Yorksists to do stuff. And I think it is time to push up a bit, maybe. Edward rolls his order for the ward. He takes, another 8. So he gets 3 actions. This is a good point to figure out whether or not we want to start pushing or not. Right now, they're actually doing quite nicely behind some cover here. And so I think they'll start by shooting a bit and then shifting around so the archers go behind. Edward's ward. Edward's retinue longbowmen are quite good, so they take 3 dice. Yep. And they're shooting against this unit that's quite uncomfortable, has been quite uncomfortable for them. So that is a fate coin on a 5, and that is a black flag to the Welshman. So the Welshman take a black flag. Boom. And Edward gets a fate coin. Second unit. That will, again, I think we'll try to break these Welshmen out here. So we're shooting at the next group of... No, you know what? This one, because I can double shoot on that. I'll shoot on this group of Welshmen from the central retinue guy. There was a 5, a 3, and a 1. The 3 and a 1 are nothing, but the 5 means another fate coin. Fate coins are good. We like those. And then the final unit of retinue will also shoot at this one. Ooh, double fate coins. A lot of fate coins here. That means the Yorkshires has finally stepped up their game. They're in it now. Now, that was one round of shooting. I think we should do another round, which means that Edward has to try an arrow storm. We are in round 3, so I have to be above a 3, and I get a 5. That makes it, which means that the Yorkists can shoot again. Here we go. Edward again shoots at the Welshman on the flank. Gets a 2, that's a casualty, and a 4. And a 5. The 4, I can't really flip that into something useful, so I'll just ignore that. The 5 will give me a fate coin. So take one of those, and then the Lancastrians here suffers a casualty. Then we go with this unit, again shooting at these Welshmen over here, trying to stagger the Lancastrian line. Ooh, that was good. Now, we have a 1, a 6, and a 5. I want to really hurt this unit here, and I have 1 fate coin. So I can either push that fate coin to a 6, so they get 2 6s, which is double black flag, which is, I think, what I'll do. Or I could push this 1 into a 2, which would cause casualties. I'll flip the 6. So double black flag for that Welshman unit. Doom, doom. Here we go. I'm hoping that this unit over here will deliver the final blow to that unit and then stagger them at the normal. Now, here we go. They will shoot. They didn't make it though. We have a 4, a 3, and a 1. I have 2 coins that I could flip some of these to go to different good places, and I think I'll spend both of them. The 1 here, I'll flip to a 2, and the 3, I'll flip down to a 2 also. So I'll cause 2 casualties to this unit of Welshmen. And they've gotten 2 black flags. That unit is not doing well. Right. That was the shooting. Final action of Edward's line, I think, will be to move a bit. Moving a bit forward, 3 inches. Basically, mostly to get my close combat dudes up to the front, so that I don't take quite as many casualties here. Because casualties amongst the Yorkshires have been heavy at this moment. Especially in Edward's company. Right! Now we go to the Lancastrian turn 3. What to do here? What to do? Well, first of all, they need to take the test, don't they? So the officer, right now, they have on average 1 of these black flags each. So he rolls with a -1 and he rolls a 6. That is good enough. He has 3 actions. So first thing that he's going to try to do is to rally. Rolls a 1. He'll try to rally again For the second action, rolls a 3. That is not good. Third action, he really needs that rally to come. No, rolls a 2. The Lancastrians fail horribly just in front of the enemy. Oh my god, this is bad. The Lancastrians, the Welshmen simply waver, and no matter what the officers do at this point, they are not listening. We go to turn 4. Now, if Edward can take this round, the initiative, he might actually be able to contact the enemy, because right now there is 11 inches between them. So you can move if you make your order test, right? You can move 9 inches, but then if you charge for one action, you get d6 on top of that. So the Yorkist line could potentially close with the Lancastrian line right now and maybe start breaking them. Let's see what happens. The Yorkists fail again, roll a 1, and the Lancastrians, even though they've got -1, roll a 7. The Lancastrians go first. What they really need now is not to fail their command test for the ward. The officer rolls his rolls a 2. That was bad. Again, the officers fail. They are themselves maybe a little bit discomforted by the arrows from the Yorkist ranks. But the only thing to do here is to try and rally off some of all these black fags before they get a 1. Now it is the Yorkist turn. Without fear of the Lancastrians shooting back, the Yorkists can now move if they can get the ward to close. The Edward commands to move. He rolls a 4. That is enough. He will then try to close with the Lancastrians. The whole ward moves up to the charge, and they will then, so they'll move 9 inches, right, bringing them to here, and then try to close the gap with the remaining, and they get 3 inches, which is enough. The Yorkist, and they have to conform, so it's 1 unit against 1 unit, right? So Edward's own unit moves to the side here, remembering he's got 4 casualties. The next unit also tries, because they know that the Welshmen are weaker, right? So they are trying to stagger their line down to hit the Welshmen and ignore the Lancastrian retinue on the flank there. We can deal with those later, hopefully, if we make it, right? The White Company also joins the charge here. 1 casualty for them. Right. Now we get to the close combat. This is the interesting part. So, at this point, the commander choices become really crucial, because in the close combat, each party takes a choice of what they want to do. Now, for instance, Edward here, he is really good in close combat. So what he chooses to do is he'll pull one of these, and for the actual game, I'll make some that are really nice. But he pulls sort of a tactic, and he says, I'll put myself to the hazard. That means that there is some like words that you have to match up with what the defender is going to do. So Edward will pull himself to the hazard. He moves to the front line in order to battle it out. Now, what will the Lancastrian minor captain, because each company will do something, right? And he'll set to receive. So, before combat, the Yorkists, they get extra dice, because Edward is really good in combat. But the Lancastrians, they take a test, and they fail, which means that Edward can choose what they want. For the Yorkists can actually choose the tactic that they want to. So they choose that the Lancastrians will try and fall back instead, which is really bad for the Lancastrians. So, to start with, Edward's ward has 4 dice in close combat. He then gets +1 for having charged, and then because he is putting himself to the hazard, he gets 2 extra dice. So that's quite a lot. That's 7 dice for the Yorksist. The Lancastrians, they have 3 dice to start with, but because they're trying to fall back, they only get 1 of those. So they get 1/3 of their dice. Bonuses for the attacker will count as casualties. Black flags will mean that the defender falls back. The attacker may choose to follow up. And after this round of combat, in post-combat sequence, I need to roll for Edward's fate, what happened to him. And the defender needs to roll a test to see if they fall back even further. So, let's go. Right, we have 2 1s. They are nothing. We've got a single 2, a 3. Bonuses, 4s. I got a single 4. They count as casualties. So we get 2 casualties. We get 1 black flag and 1 fate. That is what the attackers, what Edward's probably rolled up. So he gets 1 fate. The other unit takes 2 casualties and another black flag. And on a black flag, they will fall back. They also rolled 1 casualty, which, is really bad because Edward can't stand up to any more casualties. He already has 4. But because of his heavy armor on his dudes, he can ignore the first casualty in combat or in shooting. So he ignores the casualty. And that means that at the end of the combat, the Welshmen will get pushed back 3 inches. They got a black flag. Edward can choose to follow up. He will not want to do that because he wants his whole ward to stay together as much as possible. And they need to test the Lancastrians need to test. If they fail, then any bonuses that the Yorksists had will count as a black flag also. And since they already have 2 black flags, this may actually break them. But they rolled 5, so they success and they disengage. But now this unit is out of cohesion with the rest of the ward, so they're gonna have to stand on their own, which is bad. Right, so that was the first combat. Next combat, and the attackers will they'll thrust home, lads. The defenders will hold the line. Sounds like a good one, right? So the defenders get half of their combat dice. Since they have 3, they get 2 because you're rounding up. The attackers have 4, but +1 for being charging. Bonus counts as casualties. On a black flag, the defender, first black flag is ignored, and then the defender falls back if there's 2 black flags. The attacker will follow up, and that's it. So we roll for the next combat. And I roll 1 6, 1 3, 1 1, and 5. So the 1 and the 3, since I don't have any fate coins to start with, don't do anything. But the 2 will give a casualty to the Welshman here. And the 5 will give 1 fate coin to the Yorksist. And the 6 will give 1 black flag to the Welshman. Now, the Welshman rolls, the tutors here, they rolled a 2 and a 3. They want to change that 3 into a 2. So they'll use 1 fate coin and then make 2 casualties on the advancing York line here. So the Yorksist, they do manage to push the Lancastrians a bit, creating a bit of indiscipline here, but they lose men to the process. Right. Final combat here. This is the one for all the marbles for me. So we have again, and I think at this point I'll just choose the same two tactics. The Yorksists have 5 dice because 4 for the start and 1 for being charging. The Lancastrians have 2. Right, here we go. See what happens. The Yorksists don't roll that final black flag that would have crushed the Lancastrians here, but they do get 2 4s, and the 4s count as casualties. So there's a 2 and 2 4s, and because of the tactics, that means that 5 casualties have been caused on this unit. The unit will break, but first we'll see what they do to the York side. They're simply cut down to a man, these Welshmen here in the center. The Lancastrians roll a 6 and a 4. The 4 can't be changed into anything useful, so the 6 is what they will give a black flag, simply having cut down all these Welshmen. The Yorksists gain a black flag for the indiscipline that they are maybe starting looting the bodies here, which is never nice on a battlefield, is it? You want your troops to do what you say they should. But this whole unit is destroyed, removed from the battle, cut down to a man. Brutal slaughter here. Right, now, this unit is destroyed, which means that these 2 units next to it needs to test faltering. This unit here, the commander's own company, his retinue, they're quite good. They haven't got any problems at the moment, so they roll the commander's dice, and he rolls an 8, so they're good. They're not faltering. This unit here needs also to roll, but they are now out of cohesion with the rest of the ward. The ward is broken, and this company fights on its own. So it goes with the commander, the no-name captain. He only has a d6, so he needs to roll a 4 or better. And he rolls a 1. So faltering means that they take another black flag and immediately retreat from the Yorksists right in front of them. And now they can't touch that unit because they are now not in cohesion anymore. But this unit that now has, both of these units have 2 black flags. The Yorksist advance, the Yorksist charge have broken the Welshmen. They are retreating or they are being cut down in masses, but the Lancastrian retinue holds still. You can sort of see how this game is very much designed to create a narrative as well, right? I'm sort of narrating as I go along. Right. So that was the initial charge here. Very brutal, very dangerous for both parties. Both of them might, really get hurt when they do the charge. Now, we go to turn number 5. Normally, the game lasts for only 6 turns. So you can basically see that a game like this could easily be decided in 6 turns, right? Turn number 5. Now, the Yorksists have only got 1 black flag. That is not 1 on average, which means, oh, I forgot, by the way, we need to roll for Edward. He was in the front line. Let's see. We roll a 5. That is nothing. That's a big nothing bonus. So, or is it? Yeah, I think it is. Because you basically roll on the same table. I need to check that. There's a couple of tables, not many, but this one is one of them. I just need to check. Risk to commanders. Black flag. No, it was the Wheel of Fate. Fate. If the casualties come from shooting, the noble takes a flesh wound, but his fortune earns him a fate card. If they come from melee, he is captured and removed from play. Okay. Edward is captured? That makes no sense. I think I may modify this to only be if he... right? If it needs to be only if they lose the combat. Anywho, Edward is moved back. Cool. Lots of things I'm still learning here, right? Because that makes no sense. Why would the Welsh capture him and move back when the Yorkers are winning, right? So Edward rolls, and the opposing Lancastrian commander, in this case Jasper Tudor, rolls as well. Jasper rolls a 1, Edward rolls a 5, so Edward gets it. Edward now needs his whole ward to go again. On a 4, they make it. So, what to do? I think this retinue here will have to go off on its own. But anyways, Edward has 3 actions to do with his guys, right? So these 2 retinues could move up. This one would maybe have to turn and try and attack the flank of the other retinue. Yeah, that is what we're doing. So Edward rolls for these 2. He rolls an 8. They get all their actions. They will immediately charge again, trying to break the rest of the Welshmen, trying to make them run and finishing off their line. Now this unit over here, that's a no-name captain, so he rolls only a d6, but he rolls a 2. They get 1 action. For that 1 action, I think they should try and rally their black flag, because they have 1 black flag, right? And then roll a 6, so they rally the black flag. Right, now this unit is also out of cohesion, so the battle is nearing its crescendo. Both sides are out of cohesion, out of control, and the melee is just pushing in the Lancastrian line at this point. But they still have 1 good unit that they can use. Right, Edward is pushing in first. So again, he will choose one of, I think the Lancastrians need to try and rally to the standard. And Edward needs to break him. So again, he'll put himself to the hazard. So, before combat, Edward moves up to fight. And before combat, the Lancastrians gets to test to remove 1 black flag. Roll a 6, he removes 1 black flag. Right. The Lancastrians get 1/3 of their combat dice. That's 1 dice. But if they roll a bonus, then they also, because normally the bonus only applies to the attacker, but they get to remove black flags on bonuses, which is nice. Edward has 4 plus 1 for being charging, plus 2 for being in the front line. So that is, again, 7 dice. Edward starts the attack. He rolls. Oh, that is a kill. He has 3 4s. They are all bonuses, and bonuses counts as black flags. And he has 2 black flags. That is 5 black flags. Even if the Lancastrians roll 1, that is not enough. The Welshmen are scattered to the wind. They run for the hills as much as possible, trying to save their own lives. And Edward's battered and bruised retinue just cuts through the remainder of them into the back lines. The way is now completely open. The next Lancastrian unit needs to take a test. It's already got 2 black flags, so that's -2 on the test. But it does roll a 6. They stop. They don't falter anymore, even though one of their units. Now, the officer as well, the Lancastrian Jasper Tudor, he rolls again, and he also rolls a 6, even though there are minuses. Perfect. The 2 other units stay there, but the Yorkers tuck through the Lancastrians, and on a 1 for that is a knight. Does that do anything? Yeah. Edward is killed. Edward falls to a wound and is removed from play. A minor captain will have to step up and fight until we get a replacement in. It is really, really dangerous to put your captains in the front line here. The loss of Edward also, by the way, triggers faltering for all of the Yorkist units. So we go for the first one, and they fail. They take a black flag. Second one, rolls a 4, makes it. Third one, rolls 6, makes it. Right. Next Yorkist unit here, they will thrust home. Thrust home, lads! And the Lancastrians, they need to rally. So they're going to try rally to the standards. Pre-combat, they roll a dice. They get a 4, and they remove 1 of their black flags, which was what they needed. The Yorkists have 4 combat dice, plus 1 for being charging. Bonuses count as black flags. On a black flag, the defender will fall back. Right, so we get 1 bonus, 1 casualty, 2 3s, which immediately I'll turn to... No, I won't. I'll keep them because it won't matter. Now, that means that a bonus counts as a black flag. So, that's 2 black flags, and they already have 1. That's enough to break them. They need to roll a bonus here, so they need to roll a 4, the Lancastrians, otherwise they're gone. And they get it! Oh my god, they save 1 of those black flags. They take 2 black flags, they take 1 black flag instead of 2, and another casualty, and they're pushed back again. The attacker will follow up, so the attacker moves up, following along behind here. Right. The Lancastrians get a final chance to turn this around. Now is the time for greatness. Jasper Tudor commands his men to charge. On a 7, they will. They will wheel around, hitting this Yorkist unit in the flank. And this unit here will try and fight. Now they need to roll separately, right? So, and they also make it. So they have to fight. Right, here we go. The Lancastrians, the Lancastrians on the flank. I think they'll do thrust home, lads. And the Yorkists there, what do they need to do? They'll hold the line. Right. So, Yorkists, they get half of their combat dice. They've got 4, so they get 2. Bonus count as casualties. On a black flag, first black flag is ignored. Right. Okay, here we go. The Lancastrians, they get, I need more dice. So the Lancastrians they've got 4 because they are retinue. They've got 1 extra because they're charging. And then they get 1 extra because they've hit a flank. So that's 6 dice. Here we go. That is 1 casualty, a couple of 3s and a couple of 1s, and 1 5er. I think I will change the 5er to an extra casualty. I'll take 1 fate coin and change one of the 1s into a 2. So the Yorkist will suffer 2 casualties in total. And then the Lancastrians will get 1 fate coin back. The Yorkist roll. They roll a 6 and a 3. They haven't got any fate to play around with, so the black flag to the Lancastrians is all they get. Now, the other combat here. This is the second round. They were engaged last round as well. So the Lancastrians can do, with daggers drawn, they try to inflict as many casualties as possible. The Yorkist will just try to hold the line. Hold the line! No, you know what? They'll counter push. They'll counter push because right now they can actually win, right? So, a counter push means that I get 2/3 of my dice, which from 4 dice means I get 3 dice. The Lancastrians only get 3 dice because they're not as good as the red new guys. Bonus counts as black flags. On a black flag, the defender will fall back. The attacker will cause 1 casualty and post-combat take 1 casualty if they're still engaged. Right. Cool. Here we go. The attackers. And now notice they only get 3 dice because they're not charging. They're still engaged from last round, right? The attackers roll a 6, a 5, and a 4. They haven't got any fate to play around with, so the 6 will cause a black flag to the Yorkist. And a black flag means that the defender has to fall back, which they'll do in a minute. And the 4, the 4 is a nothing. The 4 is a bonus, counts as a black flag. So that'll actually mean 2 black flags to the Yorkist and 1 fate coin for the Lancastrians. Now, can the Yorkist break them? Here we go. The Yorkist roll 1 black flag, which is enough to break the Lancastrians because they've already got 2. And I don't think anything happens there, but here we go. Yep, that is it. Unfortunately, at the end of the combat, the defender also takes a black flag. That is the counter push that they were doing. And they've already got 2 black flags, so both of these units actually disappear in a smoke. The cohesion of units just evaporates, men running everywhere. Some of them, like the command structure just gets lost here. The Yorkists who are victorious, they just run in every direction, trying to pick up captives or trying to kill dudes, trying to rob them, the wounded. So all cohesion is lost on these 2 units, and both sides need to take a round of faltering tests at this point. So the Yorkists over here take a faltering test, they make it. These guys take a faltering test, they also make it. And then the Lancastrian take a faltering test on a 7, they also make it. That is the end of the game. 6 rounds played. The Yorkists broke the Lancastrian line, but not the final unit. Jasper Tudor's own household guards are still fighting, still standing. The melee has dropped to a minimum, and both sides will then stand off a pace and just... And unfortunately, the Yorkists will discover that Edward had fallen fighting in the front lines. He just took too many casualties, took too many risks. That is it. That, I think, was a round of Blood and Horse Droppings played through. A game of Blood and Horse Droppings played through. I made mistakes, but not many. I think I'm starting to learn the mechanics of this, and I also think that I'm starting to learn how sort of to do the different things and sort of how to play the game itself. I need to make a lot of counters for this because counters is needed, as you can tell. So I need black flag counters, I need casualty counters, I need all of that. But you know, I can work with that. I can work with that. So yeah, that will be how I play the game with my friends when I do that refight of Mortimer's Cross. Yeah, that's it from me. Cheers.